It's a shame.
Publishing, or KDP for short. How we can use KDP for self-publishing. We're going to explore the requirements for KDP and then the formats. Betty's going to take over the second half to talk a little bit more about editing and how important that step is in your journey to self-publishing. We're going to discuss the importance of design and detail, how these can be utilized to promote your work. And then we're going to explore how to refine your content before publishing and how we can market products post-publication. So why self-publish? It gives you the freedom to share your story. I'll give a little bit of my background. I have self-published a few books on KDP. The royalties are amazing, let me tell you. I'll pull up my KDP, but the royalties, I'm joking. They're like $8 every month. But, hey, $8 is $8, right? But it is a journey, I will say that wholeheartedly. When I first started my journey, I was told it would take 2 years to publish a book, and it really did take 2 years for, like, let's start, sit down, Sarah. I plugged away probably about 2 hours a day, 2 hours a week, I should say, at the book. And 2 years later, KDP, I get $8 a month for my royalties, but it's not as hard as you would think. Put it that way. If you have an idea, please put pen to paper or fingers to keyboard and just let it flow. That's one of my biggest pieces of advice I will give you for this self-publishing workshop. Don't stop. Just if you get writer's block, just write through it or take some time, put it aside, and get back to it, but don't give up. I'll talk about, like I said, about how KDP really gives you the rights to your work. You control a lot of what you can publish, and you get higher royalties. Like I joke around about my $8. I feel like John Grisham, man. But you have access to your marketing as well. It really puts everything in your control. You control the price of your book. You control the audience of your book. It really is a great platform, and that's why we chose KDP to kind of focus on how you can self-publish. So what is Kindle Direct Publishing? We're going to take a look at kdp.amazon.com, but it is an Amazon. You filter everything through the Amazon website. It's Amazon self-publishing platform. Kindle Direct Publishing, or KDP for short, allows you as an author to easily publish and sell your book either in an actual paperback form or an ebook, and it's directly from Amazon.
We mostly will be talking about like ebooks today because they have a lot less costs attached to them for the most part. But keep in mind throughout this is if you do an ebook and a hard book or a printed book copy, you can set different price points for both of those, and you could also choose and tailor them a little bit differently too. They're uploaded a little bit similarly, but ultimately how you print your book, you need to have different specifications, and Sarah will get into that.
So this is an example of a proof. This is an example of Kindle Direct Publishing, or they refer to it as your bookshelf. I'll also show you that this was made in KDP. One of our former coworkers needed to create a book for
The Ohio Farm Bureau.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And we had like a quote of how much it would cost for them to actually be printed off site, and it was just astronomical. So why not go KDP Publishing? This is kind of just to give you a visual of what the platform looks like. This is kind of like your bookshelf. I'm logged into my Amazon Kindle Publishing, and this is Nimra's Farm Management and Technology Guide for Ohio's Farmers. We priced it at $11.74, but you can order like a proof of that book so you can see exactly what it looks like. Also, other terminology we're going to talk about today. The bookshelves where you actually publish your work. There are 3 steps in the bookshelf, and that is your actual content. You have to create some keywords. You have to choose exactly, is it fiction? Is it nonfiction? We'll go through that. Then you next you design your cover or upload a cover. And then finally you talk about your pricing as well as your global rights. What kind of audience do you want for this? Just to show you, there's also a report of, there's my $8.26 for the month. Yay, Sarah, go, go, go. But just so you can get a little bit of taste what KDP looks like, it's not as bad as it looks. And I will get back to our, somebody asked earlier, are we here at Oak Hill Collateral, not here, but at our main location in Youngstown, we teach digital literacy. We do a lot with, as you can see, this presentation was created in Canva, but anything that has to do with technology, we like to teach. So if you see anything that you want more on, let Betty or myself know. Next month we will have a Canva class, so. Yay.
It's March 5th at 5 p.m. It's a Thursday.
Very good, very good.
I found it.
So the KDP publishing journey goes. First, you want to create an account. You sign up for free with KDP. It's online, easy breezy, beautiful. It really took me only like 10 minutes to create my account. Then this is the hard part. You want to prepare your manuscript. You want to sit and you want to figure out exactly what you want to write. Again, I was told when I wanted to start this journey, it's going to take 2 years. It really did take me a long time to prepare my manuscript. You want to draft and edit before you format. Betty will kind of cover that part of it. Next, you want to format your book. You want to choose, do you want it in a paperback? Do you want it in an ebook? What's your format going to look like? This is probably the next hardest part, is uploading all your files. It does take patience because it takes a while for everything to upload. Once you go through the kind of draft of what you upload, there will be like small changes you have to make. It's frustrating, but work through them. I have a student who we have one-on-ones, and she is going through the upload your files part, and she has to change her cover now. It's going to take some time. Have some patience. And then after that, you want to set your pricing. Choose your book's price and royalty options. We're going to go through that also. So consider a few things before you start. I would suggest creating a separate email for your creation. A Google account is free. You can have everything stored in your Google Drive. Sarah Cooks Books at gmail.com. Why? Because I like cookbooks. But Sarah Cooks Books is kind of like my own personal Gmail account, where I can have a Gmail, or I can have my Google Drive. I can also publish a website from that Google account if I wanted to. I also do a little bit of doc work in there because that's one format that KDP accepts. So it's like all in one. I highly suggest your own separate Gmail account or other email account. Wait times may vary. Like I said, it does take a while for this process to go, but it also is going to take some time for you once you upload your work to Amazon Kindle Publishing. A 72-hour wait time is kind of suggested, but it took, when we did that little farm book, it took like 10 to 14 days for them to accept our work. But wait times, just be patient again. And considering AI. AI is the big buzzword, but when you do create a manuscript and you upload, if you use any kind of AI, Amazon's going to ask, did you use AI to create an image? To, create your whole manuscript even. You could do that with AI. Huge no-no though. Is it Sarah Russell's work? No. It's ChatGPT trying to do the work for me. Would I use AI to kind of like give me a little skeleton of what I want my story to look like? Yeah, I have, and it does really it's a useful tool, but don't let AI do the work for you. Be creative. So it's a huge if, but if you decide to use anything with AI, like I said, Amazon's going to ask you, did you use AI to create this?
Well, what if you say no and you did?
Shame on you. Shame on you. I think they might pull your book from the rotation.
You can tell, right?
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
lots of AI
Yeah.
kind of.
They do a bunch of different scans in that wait period that Sarah was talking about. Some of them are copyright, which is normally expected. Like, I would want to make sure that if I'm publishing a book, it's not copy and paste of Sarah's book. But within those copies and checks that they do in that wait period, a lot of it is AI checking now. There are some things that I understand that Amazon is kind of lenient about. A lot of things that often tip AI checkers as AI is like an M dash, which is silly. I love the M dash, and M dash is a wonderful thing. And a lot of these AI checkers will think an M dash is equivalent to AI was used in this. Does that mean that your book will be pulled off of Amazon if it detects that as potentially AI? No, not in all cases. I think they determine how much of your work is AI. And I think first they will pull your royalties and what money you
And you
make.
lose your $8.28 for the
Oh.
month.
I think they'll then allow you to do an appeal,
Maybe.
and then they ask you to declare again what in this was AI. And then I think then you can have your royalties returned if they deem that, cool, this is mostly your work and we apologize for yelling at you for using an M dash.
So even if you go into
It's like a
ChatGPT and
big
the AI
hyphen.
programs, and you tell the program to make it sound like it was my work, they still pick that up too?
For the most part, they can. The thing about like generative AIs is they mimic how you write, and they will mimic it very, very well, but they will never have it exact. There's different types of styles of writing, and I'll talk about that a little bit later, but how each of us write, how each of us talk, it's very unique. There is no correct way to write unless you're doing something in like Chicago style or journalistic style. Those are very, very form-centric. When it comes to something like narrative writing or novels, it's a lot harder for it to not come back and detect it as AI. They almost always can tell because it uses weird, funky things and it'll use them continuously.
Well, like, okay, you went to YSU for English, English major. I write very well. I mean, so I might take offensively say that what I wrote is
Think of it
Yeah,
almost
generate.
as if you were to write a book, you're going to have different pacings and flows throughout your book. Some parts of it are going to be formal, some parts of it are informal, some parts of it are dialogue. And depending on how formal or informal all of that remains, AI struggles with changing flow. It struggles with creating different character voices. It'll do it. But it's almost as every character will still kind of sound the same, talk the same, use the same lingo, have the same jargon, almost. Granted, it's getting better. That's kind of my answer for now. It might change. But for a lot of it, AI generative is incredibly formal. And then if you tell it to make it informal, it'll make all of it. It kind of struggles to do those shift changes well, especially amongst personas. That being said, if you're doing a memoir, that might be something that's harder for it to tell because all of it is in one voice. So something like novels, where you have different chapters and different characters, it's a lot more noticeable. I hope that's an okay answer.
But I've noticed that like there's a lot of children's books now on Amazon, and the art's all AI.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of hypocritical.
I think you might have an allergic reaction on your neck.
That happens all the time when I wear jewelry. It's okay. No, it's okay. Thank you.
So next steps can kind of condensed. Like I showed you my KDP, the manuscript. The first thing you want to do is prepare a manuscript in a recommended format. We'll talk a little bit later about what formats are accepted. Kindle specifications for smooth publishing are a lot of docs. Again, we'll go through it, but if any of this terminology is a little bit like, what just ask. I forgot to say that earlier. We're pretty open about questions, so our philosophy is just stop us and ask, please. Next steps, like I said, you want to make a cover. You can design a professional cover. You can use Canva for your cover. You can also use KDP's actual cover designer. And then I have an example of what a bad cover looks like. And then you want to set your pricing. It's the pink book.
It's a pink one.
It's the pink one.
No.
So this is one of, I think, 4, maybe 5. Again, I really like to write, but this is the one that's the most popular, Youngstown's Finest Recipes. I want to polish this cover because it's not my favorite cover ever.
You
But-
can change it.
I'm going to.
Okay.
It's on my to-do list. Yes, this is my little, like, my $8 and however many cents. It does take, once you figure out your pricing, royalties, I will explain a little bit about that, which I don't think we talked about in a presentation. Royalties take about a month for that to hit. So if you're thinking like, oh, I'm gonna hit the jackpot and it's gonna be like $128 or something, you will have to wait a month for that to hit your bank account though. But it's nice to have a little extra cash for that. Common mistakes for Amazon Kindle Publishing, formatting. Formatting does matter. Poor formatting can lead to a dissatisfied reading experience, potentially alienating your audience and damaging your book's reputation. Cover design, like I said, this is not my favorite cover design, but skipping quality cover design can result in a lack of interest, or potential readers are going to be like, what? That looks, I don't want that.
It's about recipes. Why are you on it?
I know, exactly. Thank you for mentioning that. Yeah. Stick to your content when you're designing your cover also, because it really does matter. First impression is, yeah, I judge my book by my cover. And then pricing. Ignoring effective pricing strategy may limit your book's visibility and sales, ultimately affecting your royalties. There are tools to help. And
So
we're
how
always
do you-
here to help.
When you get to the pricing, then how do you start having to think about what you need to charge for that?
We will talk about that through this presentation about, like there are 2 different ways to price. One is like a 40% royalty where Amazon's gonna take their chunk, of course, but you're gonna have a more limited audience. And then if you choose like the 70% royalty, I think it's like a global kind of royalty. So my biggest advice is kind of do the math. Like once you do get your account set up, like say, oh, I want to price my book at $11.11. Size also does matter, and we talk about that. It depends on how big your book is, because then they'll figure out your royalties for you. They'll give you like a little calculator in that, but yeah. Also, and I think Betty covers this, go and look at what other kind of genres are charging for, like if you have a niche that is like so super specific. I'm trying to think of a really good example.
Like a
Price
specific
accordingly.
niche.
Yeah.
Sports journalism is incredibly
Ooh, that's very specific.
Yeah. There's not a lot of really good resources because sports are always changing, different rules are always coming out. So there's a bunch of different books on like how to report on sports and journalism, but they have to be constantly changed, so it's hard to get a constant good book on that.
But if you pick like a specific niche that is so right there, like charging a little bit higher might be a good thing. So look at your competitors is a good piece of advice. Go shop around, see what they're charging, and then price accordingly. Digital tools and resources. I think we did with this handout give you a little cheat sheet. Betty is a huge fan of Milanote.
We teach a class on it too.
We teach a class on
I teach
Milanote.
a class on it. I love Milanote. Think of it as like a one-stop shop for doing a bunch of different like organizing. I like to use it for like event planning and coordinating that kind of stuff. I've shown it to Sarah before for like HR notes, like taking like maps of employees, doing schedules and stuff like that. Like performance reviews is a nice safe place you could store it.
Is it like Evernote or no? Yeah, a little.
I prefer it because it operates kind of as like Google Drive, where you like have like a board that you enter in, but you can have multiple boards. You can have boards in boards. It's weird. I can show everybody if they wanted later. But it's a really cool place to map things out. If you're working still in your manuscript for like, what are the characters' backgrounds? Like, what are their names? Like, important facts to keep in mind of them. You can map those things out in there. If you're trying to think of your timeline for your self-publishing journey, you could do timelines where you map out, okay, I've contacted KDP through the online portal. I've uploaded my manuscript. I have to redo my cover because it doesn't meet the format specifications. I have to change my type font because it doesn't meet format specifications. You can use it kind of as like a notes system, kind of like Evernote. But I really like it because you could especially do like color coding. You could do like image and like mood boards associated with things. It's a really visual type of a suite if you make it visual. And that's really helpful, I think, in a writing sense. Having ideas of what you think people and characters might look like, having an idea of what you think the scenery or environment might look like. It's also directly compatible with Google Maps. If you're doing travel writing, I really recommend. I'm gonna stop talking about Milano. There's other ones.
Yeah, also digital tools that can help your journey. Kindle Create is really good for authors, simplifying the formatting process through Kindle ebooks. Our favorite that we love to talk about is Canva. If you don't know what Canva is, we'll happily introduce you to Canva, but 90% of what we produce in our little nonprofit is made with Canva.
This PowerPoint.
There he is. We love Canva so much, but you can kind of design a lot with your publication in Canva. Use a template, create a book cover. You could create your promotional materials.
I made bookmarks.
The sky's the limit with Canva. We love you, Canva. Some manuscript formatting tips. Like I said, some of the technical jargon that you can hear. Google Docs are my favorite thing to create my manuscript in, but Doc is a file type that is commonly used with platforms like Google Docs or Microsoft Word. Acceptable files that KDP will take, Docs. So that's why I say keep it consistent because it just makes it easier to upload that file.
How much is Canva?
Oh, you can have a free version.
You can have a free version of Canva. Canva.
We have a premium because we're an organization and we just churn out that much content. But Canva free is completely worth it. I really recommend the free version of Canva. And if for whatever reason there's something that you need out of the premium version, I think they have a 7-day free trial. Take advantage of that.
So it goes good on my free computer, huh?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So with
throw that in.
thank you for throwing that in. So with your format, avoid complex layouts or unusual forms because that's going to just kind of bundle you up at the end of when you upload everything. You're going to see, like I said, just that one tiny little thing. If you use a complex layout, it's just going to throw you off, and don't get frustrated, but it will. Utilize the Kindle Previewer for quality checks, definitely, because you want everything to look great instead of this subpar cover. I'm not going to talk about the content either, but
You need to quit beating yourself up.
it's just to show you where you're talking about font in our presentation. My font is horrible. It needs enlarged so much, and no, I need to go back and polish this little guy up, but
And Kindle KDP does have requirements that are minimums and maximums for you to print and publish in. I believe that the smallest type font that you can publish in through KDP is like size 6.
Ooh.
No one in this room can read
no,
size 6.
come on.
If you can, I'm happy for you. I can't, and I'm 25. But you still have some like boundaries that you still have to meet. Those are some of those things that in that review period might come back from KDP that you need to fix them as well. So kind of read their reviews for your answer as a no, we're not going to move forward with this, as a polite way to know, okay, I might have done something wrong. It might not be something bad. It might just be something as simple as, hey, your size is 0.5 for some unknown reason.
So they don't give you the feedback as to why?
They do.
Or they do, okay.
They will. But sometimes it's in some really heavy jargon. Sometimes
Yeah.
they word it
Exactly.
really weirdly. They have descriptions for everything, and it's a lot of text, but it's worth it to read it. It is.
Last but not least, keep your images clear if you are going to use any images, and keep them at high resolution because that'll really help your publication.
So if you're gonna do it like if you've got a pen note you wanna put, say, one of the things I'm working on it is my father's sermon notes. And you have to put like scriptures in, you know, or where your references in this from, does it allow you those to be able to do that, do something like that?
I know you can do footnotes.
Yeah.
You can do footnotes. That might be an
So
easy
much
way to
for
do
that.
that.
Yeah.
You still have, it's laid out the same way that like your document is. You'll still have a header space, you'll have your body space, and you'll have a footer space. I would think that the footer space would be the best place to put that. They do, for what I remember, do put guidelines for where you're at in those sections, so just make sure you don't cut off.
So ebooks, if you decide just to go strictly with an ebook, definitely go for the doc. A doc file is easy to edit and widely accepted. Also, another document or another format that you could go for is KPF. And then last but not least, EPUB is the industry standard for ebooks, offering flexible formatting. But ebooks are a little bit different than an actual hardcover or softcover book. But that's where your format's really gonna matter, the technical jargon we're talking about.
Even if you're doing an ebook and a print book, you can still use docs for all of these. Like, I still really recommend docs as the priority one. Like Google Docs or Microsoft Word, it's just the easiest to use, and chances are you might be familiar with those applications already.
Very good. So do we really judge a book by its cover? Like Betty said,
Yes.
you have a cookbook but you have your face on it. We do. So consider your audience when you're designing your book cover. For example, I like to write about lighthouses and pizza in Youngstown, Ohio, so I use ChatGPT to create a nice little image. I'm never going to use this for my little Amazon Kindle publishing because it's AI created. It looks cute. It's just an example of how I kind of brainstorm my lighthouse cats and pizza idea. But if you want to do a children's book, you want to tailor that to children, of course. If you're tailoring something to a sports, whatever genre is, then you would probably pick something with a sports image on it. But
It sounds a little on the nose, but if you're writing a book on baseball, on the cover it should be something like baseball, either a bat or, a plate. It should be something that's aligned with the content in your book. It gets a little bit harder when you start talking about nonfiction or historical works or things throughout history. But keep in mind that you could also make collages of photos. I'm currently working on something in partnership with one of our board members, Vince. And he has a bunch of historical photos. That's primarily what he does, is a lot of historical work. So trying to make a collage of things that help show some of the photos and the topics that are in there is also an option. It doesn't have to be just one photo on your cover. I do prefer simpler things. I think a lot of what Amazon prefers is simpler things, but you do have options.
Also consider your bio. Include a cute little headshot. Think about the author, and then I don't know. Don't forget to thank the people you want to thank too. But consider your bio. Consider the size of your publication. How big is this?
That is the world's largest book. You can look it up in Guinness World Records. It is 19.5 inches in width. It is the thickest book in the world. It was published in 2020 by an Indian author. I don't remember his name, but fairly recent.
What's it about?
2020.
I don't even
What's it
know.
about?
I don't know. I haven't a clue. I fear.
Just know its size.
It's a big book.
I just know its size. going to read that. Too
No.
much for me.
That's kind of why Betty chose to use this image, is because if it's a huge book, it might turn the readers away.
Can you pick it up?
You might not be able to pick it up. Yeah,
You
so-
can, hear me out, publish multiple books through Amazon Kindle publishing. That might have been what I would have recommended that person to do. It's hard to split your work up, especially if you've worked on it for a really long time. I'll talk a little bit about that later.
And one thing I did not cover in this presentation, you can create like a series. Like Betty said, you could split that book up and make like a little series of what you wanted. Like series 1 is going to be a lighthouse in Ohio. Series 2 is a lighthouse in Michigan. You could create a series with your book.
Lighthouse in Lorraine.
There, yep, exactly.
Beneath the water.
That might not be something I'm working on. But create eye-catching book covers itself. Don't forget about your resolution. Ensure covers are in high resolution for clarity. Keep it simple. Sally is my little thing. Just keep it simple. Opt for simple designs that are easily recognizable. And follow the guidelines that KDP has for your cover.
Alright.
You're fired. 3 ways to create your cover. Like we mentioned, the KDP cover creation tool. This is what I used to create this nice little cover. It was easy. It took me like 5 minutes. No wonder it looks like it does, but it really is easy to create with the KDP cover
They
creator.
don't consider using KDP to cover, create a cover AI?
I would not use AI to
I'm just
create
saying,
a
no,
cover.
They're- by using that, creation tool, they don't consider it AI.
No, they don't.
Okay.
No. They have like templates that you upload like a picture to. You put your own little script on it. So it's not really an AI generated cover. But that was a good question. Yeah.
It's kind of a boring Canva, if I'm being very honest. It's kind of a boring Canva. They have like an area where you can like select templates, and then you could be like, this is where your heading is or your title is. This is where you need to have your byline or your name, and then you can select images to upload. Or it's kind of boring.
It really is. Thank you. It really is kind of a boring creative cover. It really is a boring cover creator. The templates are kind of generic. Maybe limited to maybe 20 templates you could choose from. So if you're opting for the easy way, go for the cover creator. But it's really easy to use. Also, you can use a custom cover tool like Canva. We love our Canva. But you can create a custom cover with your book. Like we said, think of Canva. I like your little examples. But yeah. Or create your own. Follow KDP guidelines for optimal cover size. You will have to work in formats like JPEG, PNG, or TIFF. Like keep that in mind also. Those little technical jargons.
If you are creating your own, the most easy, simple answer I can provide you is photography. That is kind of the simplest route of finding your own cover. As somebody who writes a lot of poetry, I can't tell you how much poetry I non-explainably create that is about nature. It just happens. So something as simple as going to Mill Creek Park and taking a photo of Lanterman's Mill, that is something you could do that could work for a cover. Granted, I'd still try to align it to what you're writing about, but there's so many lovely artists also in the Youngstown area. You can reach out to local artists, you can find somebody who can help create you a cover, if you will. You can also do different kinds of things. I know we've seen people make art in Microsoft Excel before. There are options. I would personally never find myself doing that in Microsoft Excel or even opening Microsoft Excel.
Amen.
But the easiest way to think about getting a cover for yourself without using a lot of time or money is just pull your phone out and go somewhere that you think is nice. And you can do a lot of edits on photos on your phone as well. You can make them black and white, you can make them oversaturated, you can chop them up into little bits and pieces, you can make collages out of your photos, you can do a lot simply. You can.
All right, marketing, which Betty's going to cover a little bit more of marketing after I'm finished with my little portion. But the lingo that you're gonna wanna kind of keep in mind when you create in KDP. Optimize, enhance your book's description with keywords to improve visibility and attract your target audience. Keywords really do matter. They are gonna suggest that you have 7 keywords, or we're gonna call them SEOs a little bit later, but those keywords really do matter. That's how, if anyone's searching for your book, those keywords are gonna make that pop up a little bit easier. Lighthouse, Ohio, oh, there's Sarah's book. Those keywords are really gonna matter. Promotion, so in Kindle, they're gonna say, hey, do you wanna promote your book? Do you want it to be the first one that pops up when somebody does a search? You might wanna consider that. If you are looking for the royalties, you might wanna consider that. But there's also some ways you can promote your book a little bit organically. And again, Betty's gonna cover some of those promotion tools that you can utilize. Another lingo to consider is Author Central. Create and maintain your Author Central page to connect with readers, showcase your work, or provide updates with new releases. This is kind of more for an author that's been out there for a little bit, but for Author Central, I follow a few authors on Amazon and they will be really active with this Author Central. They'll say, oh, check out my new book. And like, if you follow a certain author, then you get to see that first. But if you really want to get involved in that, be active with your Author Central. Showcase your work, do it. Another thing, consider this like SEO, your keywords. You want to choose up to 7 keywords that are unique to your book. They limit 50 characters for each little keyword, so choose them.
I struggle with SEO. Help me understand.
Go ahead.
SEO is search engine optimization, and this is both used by Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing. It's also used by the internet. Think like search engines like Google, like Bing, Yahoo. It's simply a way of finding what you've put out there, what it is. And like a really big keyword is like weddings. Weddings is a really big keyword. Like wedding venue, wedding dresses, wedding photographers, wedding, like travel dreams, wedding honeymoons ideas. Normally there's like always like a keyword that sparks other interests and other searches. That keyword, think of it as kind of like your root, as like your central area. So if Sarah's writing a book about, Youngstown, Ohio pizza recipes, keyword ideas might be recipes, Youngstown, pizza, cooking. You want to find things that are simple and get to the heart of what your material is about. So if we're talking about the Oakville Collaborative in SEO terms, I want to make sure that on our website we have words about what we do. Computers, technology, digital education, that's a long one. But things that are like about our mission. Things that if people are looking for like computer classes in Youngstown, Ohio, we better be the first search result. So the more that I make sure that computer classes in Youngstown, Ohio is on our webpage, the more likely it is to pop up in searches.
And that specific is what you want to be. Like that specific.
Sometimes, yes.
Okay.
If you do something specific like computer classes in Youngstown, Ohio, yes.
Okay.
If you are doing something as simple as a cookbook, you actually want to keep it a lot more broad because a lot of people look for cookbooks.
Because like you couldn't put just like learning. That's not going to really get you where you're going to go when
it's
you're
too
looking for
broad.
a hill.
Yeah,
It's too broad. But like something like computer classes is very specific, but also very relevant, and it's definitely 100% on our website. I can help you make a list.
Well, I'm working on SEO for Thrive, and so yeah, I think I just need to hone in. That's all. I think I hone in too much, quite honestly. I think I have to be more
That
specific.
might be it. I'll talk about SEO again later on, but I'll talk about it in a different way that oddly might make more sense.
Another tool that you might want to consider, oddly enough, is YouTube. There are lots of tutorials. If you love what you see here, go on YouTube, look for self-publishing KDP, and YouTube has a plethora of videos that you can follow along with. It's also a nice tool to self-promote yourself if you're not on YouTube already, but consider YouTube not a bad little tool to use. which we, oddly enough, have a class about that at Oak Hill Collaborative. Yeah. So global distribution and rights, like I was saying, your royalties really do matter when you think about global distribution. Do you want your book available just to a small little audience or the whole world? Your availability does really matter. Also, your rights management, you have control over your book's rights, allowing you to choose between worldwide distribution or limiting sales to a specific territory. Pricing and strategies for your success. Like we mentioned before, go to a bookstore. What prices do you see? Yes.
On the previous slide?
Yeah.
Does that cover copyright laws too?
Ooh, I'm not exactly sure about that.
I'm pretty
one.
sure they check for US. I know they do checks for
So
US.
you must have a copyright when you start self-publishing. You have to have a copyright for your right
Mm-mm.
when you start using KDP.
Not really.
I think they assign it to you when it's published
Like
through Amazon.
If you already have a copyright for it, you just want to self-publish it.
like an ISBN number.
Yes.
Yes, you get your own
You can-
ISBN number.
They have a section where you can put it in, right?
Yes, if
Yeah, you can
if
tell
you
them that
purchased
I
an
have it
ISBN
already.
number, you can put that in there. Or
That
if
way
not, you
it
could
gets
just get
around
one
that.
assigned.
It
Sorry.
gets around it when you put in your ISBN number. I want to say that's actually like right after you upload. Am I wrong?
No,
Like right after, like they like let you go through your manuscript and like make you like do all like your little checks and stuff like that. I think like right when you're ready to like have it published, they're like, do you have an ISBN already? Is this your first time like doing it through Amazon, or have you been like a registered author in like
They
another
won't
country?
charge you to get a copyright.
They won't charge you for an ISBN number now. When I first started my journey, I did purchase like
I know.
a 10-pack of ISBN numbers for $199.
Yep.
Now,
You don't do
Just-
that, man.
you don't need, I know. I was gonna make 10 Lighthouse books, Betty, come on. My mom also gifted it to me, cause she's like, oh, welcome to your journey. I know, sweet mom. But, no, I did not need 10 ISBN numbers. Amazon does issue free ISBN numbers. So with your pricing and strategy, like we were talking about before, if you want to price it to get a little bit of royalty, go shop around, see what's out there. I just went to a bookstore on Monday and I was a little bit shocked at how much books went up. Holy moly! But also shop on Amazon, see exactly what other people are charging on Amazon. But if you want to go. We're going to talk about our favorite bookstores too a little bit, but go shopping. You want to attract readers with your pricing. A low price entry can help draw in more readers. I priced mine not to earn a profit. I really was like, I was kitschy and went 11.11. Go make a wish. But yeah, for $11.11, I thought it was fun. I'm making $4 each book. It really wasn't about profit, honestly. But price your book accordingly to, if you want to be John Grisham, charge, go for the sky. But also you want to think about a premium value. Set a higher price for niche topics like we talked about earlier. If you're going for a very specific audience, then you want to make a little bit more on that because your book sales are not going to go through the roof. But charge for that little specialty topic.
Something else is your ebook, you should price differently than your printed, like hardcover book. You can make them the same, but if I'm paying $11.99 for something that's just digital when I can pay $11.99 and have it in person, you might want to consider just having a lower set price, maybe by even like $1 or $2. Most ebooks are anywhere between like $2.99 and like $7.99, I'd say on average, depends on length. But they normally are something that costs less than an actual like, hardcover book. So also think about that. You can set them different. You can have them the same. I don't recommend them as the same. I really don't.
So understanding KDP royalty options, the 35% option is available when pricing your ebook below $2.99. If you want to go for the 70% option, That's for any book that is priced $2.99 to $9.99. And then you also, not with ebooks, but with actual paper copies of books, you want to consider the delivery costs, which are factored into your pricing. So you don't have to worry about like, oh, it's going to be an extra $1.99 if I price my book $11.11. No, that's the delivery costs are built into your pricing, but it is going to take out your royalties. So just consider that also.
Oh my gosh, is it my turn?
And then let's take a step back and talk about editing.
Yeah.
Once you have your actual material.
All right, I'm swapping out with Sarah.
Yeah.
A lot more of my background is a lot more in terms of editing and like actually like checking something, making sure that it looks good, making sure that it sounds good. Okay. So when it comes to editing, it doesn't have to be said. The biggest critic in a room is always going to be yourself, whether you're the only person in the room or we're joined together as we are today or on YouTube or Facebook Live. Welcome everybody. But you need to review your work. Please review your work. Never just publish something straight out of the gate. You might have typos everywhere. You need to take time and consider what you're publishing. Genuinely. It doesn't matter if you need to take a 2-week break away from your book. If that's something that works for you to get out of your headspace and then feel like you can go back and be critical of it, do it. Be critical not only of your writing, but also be critical of your cover. Be critical of the elements that are aligned on a page. Think about how something actually looks. Is the text size readable? Is this something that might be ADA compliant if you're going on a larger scale? Think about, is this picture large enough? Think about simple things even like that. But I'm mostly going to be talking about text. Something that sounds silly is you should learn how to edit and review and make changes to your work without taking it personally. It's a really hard thing to do, and that goes kind of beyond writing. Most professional authors have agents that help them promote their work, and they have teams of people who do the edits for them or will recommend them edits. They have people who do grammar checks for them. We don't have that liberty right now. We are all in a room together, self-publishers. We do not have that liberty. We are all of those things. Today, we are all a one-man team, and you are going to have to be the writer, the publisher, the editor, designer, and so much more. So how can I edit what I've written? That's my baby, that's my child. I love my work. Well, that's okay. Everybody does write differently, and by that same measure, everybody edits differently too. Some people like to edit as they write. I don't always recommend that because you might be too critical of your work. Some people like to break it into chunks. Every time you finish a chapter, maybe take a day, go back, read over it. Do I have a plot hole? Do I maybe not make sense here? Does this have a good transition? Take time. A lot of people also like to wait until they have the entire draft done. I personally like to edit as I work. I'm very critical of my work. I've taken years and I have a college degree that helped me work through that. If I can have any advice for you, these are the 5 C's of editing. Make sure your work is clear, correct, concise, comprehensible, and consistent. Obviously, these might change a little bit depending on what you're writing. I know in the office yesterday we talked about a book called The House of Leaves. I would say it was probably none of these, and that was the idea of the work, is it wasn't going to be clear or comprehensive or consistent. He was a very interesting guy.
Don't they look for punctuation as well in editing?
You need to, yes. There are different types of punctuation. Commas, semicolons, periods. Do you need an exclamation mark? It depends on kind of what you're writing. If we're talking about something a little bit more journalistic, like we mentioned earlier, I better not see a single exclamation point in there. That bothers me. It's not supposed to have that. However, periods, em-dashes, think about how you are spacing things, how things read, the flow of something. You can also go back after you've written your entire first draft and change punctuation based off of how you think it needs to be done. If you're doing a novel, if you're doing like the inside of like a character's mind, have fun with your style. If you are doing something that is maybe historical or more academic as a journal, I'm sorry, you're probably going to have to do APA or Chicago or MLA or something that actually requires you to follow a style book. Journalism also follows a style book. Don't even get me started. I have a copy on my desk.
Me too. Thank you.
You're welcome. There are options. You do not technically have to do all of the editing yourself. Do I recommend you try? Yes. I think it's always good for you to give yourself constructive feedback. However, You could hire help, not always my first option, but there are a lot of freelance editors out there. A lot of people like to do that kind of work. I like to do that kind of work. Anytime our boss, Pat Kerrigan, puts anything on my desk, he knows I'm going to red pen that thing up. It's an established work environment we have. But many authors have agents who connect them to freelance editors, or they have publishing houses who do those work for them, and they will send it back to the writer. They will review those edits. They will either make an appeal and be like, no, I want that M dash. Or the publishing house will tell them, no, get rid of it, I said so. It happens. Another thing is you could find a friend. This is a really simple way to have feedback given to you. Granted, if you're working on something that's a lot more like memoirish or something that's a lot more personal to you, maybe find a friend who knows about your experiences. A lot of times we forget things that we want to include. Somebody with that insight is sometimes the best insight that they can be given, because then they're like, hey, you completely forgot about your birthday in 1998. I forgot it. Honesty.
She said 98.
Yeah.
You might not remember it.
Hey.
Honesty is policy when you are finding a friend. It really is. You want to find a friend who is honest with you about your work. Be it that they tell you, hey, I think you really need to revise these things. There's a lot of grammatical errors. I don't think your plot's consistent. Why don't they just do X, Y, Z? Be polite to yourself and take that in. But also find a friend who's not going to yell and cuss at you and tell you that your work is bad. Please don't. There are local groups. I love what Lit Youngstown does. Lit Youngstown has a writers guild. Their writers guild does some of these things with you while you're there. I really recommend the writers guild. I believe this month they're at the Boardman Library, but they have a critique hour. You can bring like short samples of your work and people will give you feedback on it. Be open with yourself, okay? You're going to publish this work already. You need to get human feedback. Please do it. It's worth it. It really is. And also, these people are cool. For the most part, they're hosted at Pop Arts Book Culture in Boardman. Really recommend them.
Great bookstore.
Great bookstore.
Yeah.
And yeah, this one is at the Boardman Library. And that is this weekend. You all better be there.
If you have a favorite bookstore, most likely go in. Ask them if they have something like Pop Culture has, like a group that gets together once a week, maybe once a month. I know Lena's in Austin Town. Sorry.
Is it Leanna's?
It's
Leanna.
Yeah. Next to Rulli Brothers. They have a group that meets once a month, like Lit Youngstown does. But thank you.
Long answer is there are people who are out there who can help give you feedback and useful feedback. Take advantage of that. Like Sarah said, this is a process that might take you a while. You might as well enjoy the process and meet people who are also experiencing the same things as you. Having a community to rely on is a good thing. But there's also technology-related help. Oak Hill Collaborative does mostly digital things, so of course I was going to have digital resources for you today. ProWritingAid.com. It's kind of like Grammarly. I'm also going to recommend Grammarly. That's the next slide. But I really like ProWritingAid because it kind of yells at me in a very nice way. As you can see, I have a grammar score of 25%. I've done something wrong. But it's really just kind of blunt with you. It has kind of like AI critiques that normally sounds kind of bad, but I feel like their AI critiques are actually really grounded. It can give you feedback on your flow, your pacing, like do you feel like you end chapters too quickly? I think that it's actually really good in its feedback. You might disagree with me, but I recommend trying it. You could copy and paste large sections of text and go in it at chunks, or you could upload the entire document and it's all 256 pages-ness, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It does give really good advice, in my opinion. Is it AI-generated advice? Yes. But also, it tells me and underlines exactly like Grammarly where those errors are and what that advice is related to it. And I feel like when I'm uploading like junk work in there just to give me feedback, it makes sense, which is normally uncommon for AI. So if you use any of those, this is the one I recommend.
Did you have a question?
No, she covered it. We're good.
Okay.
The other top one is Grammarly. How many of us know Grammarly? This is like the industry standard at this point. Grammarly has kind of embedded itself in everything when you write anymore. You can get an extension for your Google Chrome browser. You can have it automatically linked to emails and stuff like that. They're kind of everywhere. That being said, I do find them kind of annoying sometimes. Yeah, sometimes I think they overstep, you know? But, you know, it's iffy. It's based off of your opinion. Subjectively, I think they overstep sometimes. Sometimes I want to use an M dash and it not trigger an AI checklist of you're using AI. Grammarly definitely has that. Grammarly will spot M dashes and goes, hey, did you AI generate this? And I get mad. Do I think it's good, especially for grammar, spelling, and clarity? Yes. That is what Grammarly's like piece de resistance is it knows if you should use a comma, if you should use a semicolon, if you should use a period. It is really good about that. Do I think that it has the best type of suggestions for helping my writing for clarity or conciseness? If I use, you know, like 7 words back to back to back and they all start with the letter C and L, like, you know, it's not really sounding great on the tongue. Grammarly sometimes struggles to identify those kinds of issues. So in terms of spelling and grammar, I do really recommend them. In terms of like human feedback, a little less personally. I would recommend anything on this slide for human feedback. So then, now that we're talking about AI, if you use AI, I am not personally the biggest fan, I can tell you, of AI, but if you use AI, it is like kind of everywhere in our face. If anybody in here watched the Super Bowl, I know you couldn't escape it because I couldn't either. AI pulls. It is like a sponge. It is like a magnet. Anything that is across the internet, it pulls from. It draws its inspiration, if you will, from it. So if you are trying to write a book, keep in mind, you don't want your book to be pulled from the inspiration of, you know, like all of Jane Austen's works, be it even if it is in the same time period, right? You want your book to be your book. Please make sure it's your book. Editing tips. Do I like AI, especially for sometimes editing? Yes. You know, sometimes it's useful. Grammarly is a type of AI. Is it necessarily generative? No. Is it sometimes generative? Yes. You can use something like Google Gemini to help, you know, with spelling errors, with grammar errors. If you do that, have whatever AI you're using highlight changes it makes. Have it tell you what changes it made. Make sure that it's putting changes it makes in brackets. Make it give you some type of an identifier so you can find those changes. Because you need to have human oversight over the changes AI makes. You need to be able to spot it. And that's kind of what that review process that Sarah was talking about goes through. Is it goes, oh, like, do I think Gemini, like, helped here? Yes. Do I think Gemini wrote it here? Ooh, different scenario completely.
I just want to ask you a question. Can plagiarism be involved in publishing a book? That's my question.
Yes, that's a part of the copyright laws. If you, like, say I want to also write a fun pizza recipe from Youngstown, and I know one that Sarah wrote, it does try its best to identify these. Some things do fall through the cracks. I'm not going to be the person to tell you that, but I'm also going to tell you, do you want to lose out on your $8 monthly by doing that? No! Okay, so don't do it. You could also fall into a lot of trouble by doing that. There are copyright laws. Please don't violate the laws. It feels like a weird thing. Double check any changes that AI does make. Like I said, review your work. Have it highlight. Have it put things in brackets. Anything that it changes. Review it. Do not publish your book without making sure that the changes that were made in your content, in your grammar, in your spelling are what you're okay with. AI is a tool. It is to do a job. It is not to do the heavy lifting of what you are trying to accomplish with self-publishing. So, make sure your work is your work. Compare and contrasting is another really big one. I really recommend, if you are having AI help you with clarity, for example. Do I recommend that? No. Is somebody maybe going to try it after today? Yes, it's a weird world we live in. But if you are having AI try to fix conciseness in chapter 1, if you're trying to make it shorter, if you're trying to make it longer, and you ask and you plug in your entire chapter to ChatGPT and say, make this longer, compare the two. Do it. It's really interesting the things you will notice. There might also be things in that you decide you like. Like Sarah said, it's a tool. If you are struggling for plot and ideas and maybe, you know, like what scenery looks like, ChatGPT, like the sponge it is, will soak up things from around the internet. If you mention Maine a lot and you're struggling to come up with like words or verbs or adjectives to describe what happens in Maine, maybe asking ChatGPT, hey, could you add a couple more adjectives into this? And then review them, and then maybe rearrange the ones that you like that it recommended, right? We want to use the tool, not supplement everything we've done with the tool. And then peer pressure. You can use AI if you like it. I personally don't like it. But do not let me be the person today to tell you to never use this XYZ tool because you heard from Betty at Oak Hill Collaborative they don't like it. If you want to experiment with it, go with it. But I have warned you all of some consequences.
But if it's your work, you don't want AI screwing it up either.
Personally, I don't. Personally, I
And
don't.
a pull for your work to give somebody else inspiration.
Uh-huh.
That's true.
There are consequences. Alright. But you've edited your book. You have published it through KDP. Congratulations, first off. Congrats. But now you actually have to start to think about how to get the ball rolling. So a little bit of marketing, a little bit of social media that I can give you. How you choose to self-market is up to you. If you don't want to self-market at all, if you want those books to just sit on Amazon KDP and you never want to touch them, that's up to you. You can do that. You can. Many people have different preferences. I'm not telling you that you have to like Facebook. I'm not telling you have to like TikTok. But if you do like one of them, try it out, genuinely. And then don't feel like you need to do everything. I think that's probably one of the biggest things that I hear for people with social media. I do some like business consulting at Oak Hill, like with Sarah, and my minor is in social media campaigns. Is everybody feels like they have to be on every social media platform the second they launch a business, the second they launch a book. It's like I need to have a Facebook, I have to have an Instagram, I have to have a Twitter. You do not need to have a Twitter. I promise. There's other things you can do too. You could build a website. There are free platforms that you can build websites on. You don't necessarily have to have a domain. Something with a .weebly.com at the end of it is nothing to be ashamed about. Social media is probably my favorite. I'll talk a little bit about why. But you can also do local events. Like Sarah mentioned, Leanna's bookstore. I know maybe every other month they do like an author like signing and stuff like that. That is a good resource for you to reach out to those bookstores. Let them know, hey, I just self-published my first book. It's on Amazon KDP. It's both ebook and print. Would I be able to do an event with you guys to help promote my work? Do not hesitate to reach out. If you know people, do not hesitate to reach out to people you know. If you're trying to promote your work, promote your work.
There's also a bookstore in Campfield called Spellbound Sisters, and once a month, maybe twice a month, they'll have like local self-published author day. It's a great place to network. It's a great place to kind of highlight what you do, but it's a cute little bookstore also.
What's the name of it again?
Spellbound Sisters. It's right in front of Meyer.
Do local bookstores, because I just think of them as like indie bookstores, do they frown upon the Kindle Direct Publishing? I just assumed that they would.
I have no idea.
I
think they kind of encourage
kind
an
of have to
author.
embrace it at this point, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I would hate to say some do and some don't. There's probably definitely like at least like one guy out there who's like, get out of my books, that'll be through Penguin Publishing House. And it's like, well, Penguin is only for young adult books. What am I supposed to do? And you know, if there is that one guy out there, do not let that deter you. Not every bookstore operates the same as well. Some of them love local authors more than big authors. Some of them love big authors more than local authors. Not everybody's cup of tea. Do I recommend you trying to walk into Books A Million and being like, hi, I'm a self-published local author, please help promote Books A Million as a national chain will probably have to tell you no because they can't have like some weird, you know, like, you're our favorite type scenario going on. But they might also say yes. Try it. So why I recommend social media? Oh yeah.
So, you don't have to sell your books only on Amazon, is that right?
You don't have to.
Okay, so once it's on there, like there's no or like if you wanted to take a bunch and sell them that.
Exactly. I was just gonna say I wanted, like, all of a sudden I changed the cover and I really liked my Youngstown's Finest Recipes. I could buy that. I would buy the author version of it because that doesn't include royalties. Then you have like a pile of 10 and go to the bookstore and say, hey, for $11.11 you could buy my book. You are more than welcome to do that. You have control over that kind of
Okay,
way you can do it.
thank you.
So why I recommend social media, and it's probably mostly my minor talking and my studies in this that are talking, but genuinely social media is a really interesting place for you to define your audience. Any one of us can go onto our Facebook profile right now and open up a business page and then start making posts about whatever we wanted to, as a business, as a book, as an author. You can do that completely free. It's something that you can manage in your free time. It's something that I would never recommend making your job. Your idea of a job is either your 9 to 5, or maybe this is your first step into the publishing world, right? Social media is not supposed to be your job. It's not supposed to be a replacement for your job. But it's something that you can manage and make content for when you're, sitting in your bed at like 7 p.m. and you're like, oh, I'm not ready to go to bed yet. It's something that you can do in your free time. It really is. Audience pooling on social media is a really unique thing. But if you're writing a children's book, you can really start to define your audience. You want to define your audience as, women in what area, in what locality. Do you want it to be men? Is this a sports book? Do you want this to be broad? Do you want this to be for everybody? I'm going to tell you all today, really try to define your audience. It's a really hard thing. Everybody, whenever they write a book or they make something, they're like, this is for everyone. It can be for everyone. Yes, that is a type of audience. But who do you think would be most interested in or would gain the most experience from reading your work? Be it's your stories about, when you won the 1998 softball championship in Little Leagues for Girls. That's amazing. Maybe this is a story for inspiration for other girls who are participating in softball, right? You need to think about your audience. It's something that's hard to do, but it's something that really, really well relates to social media. Another thing is you can do ads on it. This is the most uncomfortable part of Facebook for me. You could do promotions on Amazon. You can. You could also do promotions on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. I don't recommend Twitter, once again. But sometimes spending $20 to get 8 sales on a $20 book means that you just racked in maybe $80. That's $60 in profits. Do I recommend it still? No. The ads on Facebook and Instagram are like a suction cup. They'll give you one that's really good and you think, oh, that was a success, I'm going to invest again. And then the next time you invest, you get maybe like 2 people who saw it. It's weird. But there is a certain aspect of timeliness when it comes to social media pages. If you are doing a pop-up author event at Leanna's bookstore and you're going to be giving away like 10 signed copies, you're going to read an excerpt, and you have a social media post about it, you've made an event on Facebook, do I recommend that maybe you put $10 in that? That's not a bad idea, because it's something that is super tangible, something that people would be interested in, and it might result in you making actual tangible sales. Think about what profit you could actually get out of this. Really, really do. Don't spend $10 in it willy-nilly and think, oh, I'm gonna boost this today. I also really recommend, if you do make an ad or boost something, that should be your most recent content that you would put out. Do not boost anything older than 2 days, older than 3 days, 2 or 3 days. Just don't. Because chances are it's not actively on people's timelines anymore. Everybody's seen it and they scroll past it. That oftentimes doesn't mean really good things for putting it back on their pages. If they've already not, interacted with it, chances are they're not again. So think about stuff like that too. You have freedom in how you manage your social media pages. You really do. That is the nice thing about them. You can give them 100%. Please don't give them your 100%. Or you could also give them 0%. You don't have to have social media pages. I just think that this is one of the most freeing aspects that you could do to publicly promote your works. It really is. And it's, for the most part, free as long as you don't do ads. To make it simple, you just need a graphic for the most part. You don't even have to have graphics. You need a caption. And then this is where we start to get into SEO-like content, is how you reach your audiences. And that's with hashtags. There's a couple different things you could think about with it, but for the most part, this is a post about farm fresh eggs. They were locally owned and locally known. Yay! I chose this example, not really wondering why I chose this example. It's a good example, it is. It's talking about a deal. You're gonna skip the store, you're gonna get farm fresh eggs. When we're looking at the hashtags for it, the hashtags are something that is really specific. I like to do hashtags in a couple different ways. I like to have something that's directly aligned with what it is. So this is farm life, this is a deal, this is Ohio farmers. And then I also like to think about localities. Youngstown, Ohio, hashtag Youngstown, hashtag Mahoning Valley, something to help, kind of mitigate where those audiences are. For the most part, if you are a farm and you are a self-owned farm, chances are you do not care what people in California think of your eggs. You're not trying to sell to them. You're trying to sell to people who are in your locality, like Youngstown. Captions? For you all, think small and simple, but sales-driven. So I'm advertising that there's a sale going on eggs. Explain your sale and price a little bit if you can, and then utilize those hashtags. Hashtags are a really simple way to tie back into keywords. Hashtags are keywords. Hashtags are a form of SEO. Anytime that you're in a social media platform like Facebook and you're trying to advertise your book, do a search for popular types of books. Do a search for popular types of genres. And you're going to get results on Facebook about what those most popular looked at books are right now on Facebook. Commonly, I only get results for Game of Thrones related books because I read a lot of those and I watch the show and it's taken over my feed, I fear. But think genre-based. If you had to put your book into a genre, those are hashtags. Those are keywords to use on your website, to use in your Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing app. Those are keywords to use on social media. Fiction, nonfiction, horror, educational. You could also think about themes that you have in your books too. Stuff like grief, hope, religion, growth. There's also author-specific keywords you could use, like women-owned, Christian stories, Ohio natives. You could also do advertising ones. These ones I recommend a lot more for like social media end, not necessarily KDP, but like sale, discount, price reduced. If you are thinking broad, think about what broad topics often get people's attention and how they might align with what your book is about. So survivor stories, recipes, trends, crafts, homemade, storytelling, horoscopes, cars, news, nature. These are all like bounce off words that people are always like looking up, right? You kind of want to think like that. If you can refine it into something like fiction, nonfiction, grief, woman-owned, do it. If you are struggling to, look up like the top 500 like keywords or like SEO words like right now on the internet. It's really stupid and a lot of them are really weird, but you're gonna notice that there's always like themes about like what people are looking for. Weddings is still probably the biggest one I can think of. There's always somebody out there looking for something about weddings. And if you have a book about it, capitalize. That is all I can tell you. Capitalize on it. This kind of all comes back to your online presence. If you do choose to market your book online, please be professional. It sounds silly, but nothing has turned me away from a book than an author who acts egotistical. Be nice. Be open to dialogue. If this is your first book that you've ever published, chances are, if you edited this yourself, there is probably going to be somebody in your comments going, well, on page 52, it should have been a comma. Instead, you have a comma splice because it's two independent clauses. I don't care. Be open to the dialogue. Don't let it get to you. Respond nicely. Maybe provide some insight into either your writing experiences. You could tell them that this was self-published, that you are learning how a comma splice works. You could also offer advice. This is actually a really interesting thing that you can do through social media or through a website, or maybe at an event locally, is you can also offer advice. This is all our first time on Earth. This really is. And chances are, if we're helping any of you all today and you go home and you start to get your book online, chances are there's somebody else out there who's going to be like, how did you do it? Be kind. Offer that advice. Talk about your experiences of writing. Never deter somebody away from their hopes and dreams, but be honest, right? If it took Sarah 2 years, Sarah stood up here and told you it took 2 years. Don't let that deter you, but be honest about it. Talk about that experience. Was it the worst 2 years of your life? Be nice. Avoid confrontation. I see so many people online who just like to conflict anymore. Please don't do that. Please keep in mind that if you are going to be like publishing books online, you now have a name that is directly attached to a digital footprint. And I now have the freedom to look you up online. Have you only published books? That's amazing. Do you also have a criminal record? I can find those things very easily online. So think about your perception that you have online. Try to be open about it, yes. You don't have to tell everything about yourself online now. Something else that's really cool is you can share behind the scenes. If you take photos at all while you're exploring or maybe getting anything for your book, you can share those things. You can share what your experiences were like. A lot of people like to see the behind the scenes of how a book is made because it's interesting. We all are like fascinated by it. That's why we're all here today. But if you want to share any of that, do it. It's really interesting content, and it might help either sell your book or it might be a reason for somebody to buy your book or somewhere or another. Alright, so we have equipped you with knowledge. This is our second to last slide. If you're really into it, do it. Do it. Just do it. It doesn't hurt to start now and take 2 years. It doesn't hurt to start now and take 5 years. It doesn't. If this is something that you're interested in, just start it. Amazon KDP has been active for so long. There are so many people's drafts just waiting to be published. Just do it. That's the biggest advice that I think anybody in this room can give you today. And don't hesitate to reach out to other people or other resources for help. We are at 507 Oak Hill Avenue in Youngstown, Ohio. Stop in, ask a question. We love this kind of stuff. We do. Do we have questions? Thank you.
Yay, thanks for coming. Questions? Go publish, go.
Maybe not today, don't rush it.
If you have questions, please feel free to reach out to us. Like Betty said, 507 Oak Hill Avenue. You have questions too?
Yeah, of course. Go make it.
Please feel free to call us, visit our website. But yeah, stop on down. We're there, 10 to 5, 9 to 5.
Sometimes 10 to 6.
Sometimes it's.
Yeah. So I just wanted to thank you all for coming. I'm the director here at Braxton Ted, and we had talked about some people that we know who love to write, and I threw something out on social media and said, hey, would anybody be able to help us with like a little workshop about that? And Sarah reached out to me, and they created this for this class.
Awesome.
So thank you. You know, and I'm hoping we can do more of those. But yeah, we do all kinds of different programs, and if you're interested, please follow us on Facebook. Reach out. I put my card in everybody's spot, and I'm just grateful that you're here.
Thank you.
What a great class. Thank you so much. Is anybody open to doing a group picture? That sounds familiar.
Thank you everyone on Facebook.
And if not, that's okay.
We're gonna have this posted later with the slides and everything, so that way it'll be reversed. We mostly wanted to just go live because we knew a lot of people couldn't be here, but we're gonna have this published on our YouTube probably within a day or two. But thank you so much for joining us. Sorry that if anybody tried to make it, you couldn't, but we hope that you were still able to get something out of today, even if it was just through a Facebook Live. We hope you enjoyed it, and if you need anything, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Our email is oakhillcollaborative@gmail.com, and then this will be up in a couple days. Bye!